Hey, what's up guys? It is Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So Yoon fam, what I want to talk to you about today is something that has been kind of pressing on me as of late, and I've seen a couple comments here and there in certain videos about anti-consumerism, and there's a lot of course, misinformation going on out there, or misinterpretations of what things actually are. So here I am again, just trying to spread some, I guess, knowledge a little bit, and try to make us more aware of what we're talking about. That way, if we do use these topics in argumentation, that we're not shut down because we're getting something wrong. Because usually they'll throw the baby out with the bathwater. So if you're talking to anybody about really anything, the first thing that happens is they'll check you on your knowledge. So if you say something that they can catch you on, they'll usually just do a whataboutism and shut the conversation down, and that'll be the end of it. So to avoid that, we're going to talk about it. So in my comment sections, particularly, I've seen a few times, not quite so often, but it's something often enough that I wanted to address, an accusation levied against myself being that I'm not for the protection of consumers, that I only am trying to protect Soul Calibur as a company, or Bandai Namco, or whatever, and I'm only excusing the malpractices in which they are engaged in, and not protecting the community or the consumer. This is flat out almost egregious, because if anybody watches my older videos, my very first review on Soul Calibur 6 was like a 30-minute rant on how much I didn't like the game. And over time, as time passed and as I did more research and as I played the game more, my opinion happened to change. So we know we've done a lot of mini docu-series on this channel in the past, talking about different things that have come to light about Soul Calibur, Team Project Souls as a company, Motohiro Okubo, Harada, the team behind it, Bandai Namco as a parent company and publisher, and a lot of things that we've actually brought up. And anti-consumerism has been brought up before, but never directly addressed. And like particularly on the last video that I made, I received a comment. I'm not going to show it because I don't want you guys to go after him. I received a comment basically accusing me of being anti-consumer and making quote-unquote excuses for the company. Here's the thing. You have to know what anti-consumerism is before you can levy that against people. And he brought up deceptive practices or deception or whatever, and that's not something that can be levied against Project Soul at all. First of all, pandemic aside, we know that Project Soul is a completely small company. We know that it's been reformed multiple times, especially with this recentmost iteration. It's the smallest team yet that Project Soul has had. We also know that Soul Calibur 6 is not a fully funded game that was ready to be levied out. It is an application process for Project Soul to be able to continue the Soul Calibur series after it was destroyed by Soul Calibur 5, Soul Calibur Lost Swords, and the other stuff. So, with that being said, a few things I want to just jump into first is what anti-consumerism is and what examples of it are. So we would levy these kind of accusations at companies that are much more egregious of things like this, such as EA perhaps, or something akin to that. When you have companies that take advantage of a people's fan base, such as, let's say Madden, for example, and they regurgitate the same content year after year on end with little to no improvement on any part of the game, reusing assets so much to the point that where people can zoom in on the field and see Madden 19 logos on the water coolers on the field in Madden 21. So these are all really huge problems within a community of gaming, period. But Soul Calibur isn't really liable for anything like that. We also have huge amounts of microtransactions and coin purchases and games as a service layouts. We have deceptive practices of talking about things that are going to be in the game, explicitly expressing them, and then not withholding them or whatever. So we have all those examples, right? Let's look at Soul Calibur 6. Soul Calibur 6 started with a meager roster. We had Tira as pre-order bonus because she wasn't finished in time to be able to be done before the game went gold. This is different from the game launching. A game going gold means it's finished and ready to be printed and sent off to the presses. After that, they can only adjust things via updates or patches, because once the discs are printed, there's obviously no reneging on that. And you're not going to waste all that manufacturing money by recalling all those discs just to add a few lines of code for a character when you could just update it via patch. So the first thing that I saw was that people didn't like the fact that Tira was DLC, and they felt that she should have been on the disc. She practically was. She's a pre-order bonus, so anybody who's going to get the game at the first, you can still get the first day one edition and get her if you buy it like new. But those of us that were going to get it were already going to get it, and those of us who didn't care enough about it were already going to dismiss that and not care about it. It's a lot of it's hindsight and arguing after the fact. Now, we already are not going to talk about the budget of this game and Bandai Namco's power over Project Soul as opposed to somebody like Tekken's team, but because we've talked we're blue in the face about those kind of issues, and you can find other videos on my channel about that kind of stuff. But what I mainly want to focus on is Soul Calibur and why I try to push it as much as it does. Soul Calibur has been handed off by many teams. If you watch my mini doc about it, the road to Soul Calibur, there's a lot of problems that they had. There's been different iterations of Project Soul over the years. Different teams that produced Soul Edge, that go on to make Soul Calibur, that went on to make Soul Calibur 3, that went on to make Soul Calibur 4 and 5, and now Soul Calibur 6. So we've had 6 different games with two spin-offs, and we have, 5 different teams. It's a little egregious, and it's not the same team responsible, but they are all under the moniker of Project Soul. People leave and join that company all the time, and they reuse assets because they have to. This game in particular needed to reuse a lot of assets, and it's the last one I believe is going to be using this Soul Calibur 4 engine. I believe in Soul Calibur 7 we're going to see a completely different engine, and this is kind of just like the jump-off point for the reboot. So there's reasons why I give for things like that. In Soul Calibur 6, do we see any microtransactions? Like, there's no, like, oh, we're in Libra Soul and we can't beat this ancient, so do you want to power up your gear? You know, buy with in-game 100 coins, and then you go to click 100 coins and it's like $10. That doesn't happen in this game. There's no microtransactions. There is downloadable content, DLC, but that's mostly used to promote and to pay for future iterations and future content. And that's additional content. Like, the game's already done. If you want to buy Soul Calibur 6 and just play the vanilla version, you're more than welcome to. Nobody is stopping you. There's plenty of free updates and content that come out, especially character creation parts and stuff like that. What anti-consumer is something that's like something that will make the industry as a whole worse off in the future, and I don't find Project Soul to do anything about that. Now, certain people cannot like certain aspects of the creation or the team or what they've done, but they've certainly been, for the most part, forthcoming and letting us know what's happening and when patches are coming out. They've had plenty of live streams talking about the technicalities of their things. The information's out there about how this came to be. They are one of the most active communities on Twitter, asking us like what we want to see in the game and stuff like that. Not to mention, they don't really hide anything. All of their stuff's like in their data code, so it's really easy to find the information about like what's going to come out and what was already planned, what was on the roadmap. So we know that there's no microtransactions, right? We know that there's no deceptive practices. There's no games as a service outside of like buying a season pass, which is literally just extra content. That's not stuff. I always see this levied against games. Like, when you make downloadable content that should have been in the game in the first place, that's a bullshit argument. So, first of all, if you're not like a developer yourself, or even a creative person in general, like it applies to anything in the arts or anything, like even with a regular job. If you're given a set timeline by your publisher, which is your boss, of games, of what needs to happen and what time, and you don't finish in time and they release it as is, that's not their fault. That's not them holding back stuff just to like make us pay for it down the line. That's not stuff that should have been on the game. There's no, oh, well, they should have hold off the release of it. These things are very set to certain standards, and they don't like having competition within other mediums of the same type of game. You'll never see Soul Calibur release the same week as Mortal Kombat. You'll never see Injustice 2 release the same week as Tekken. This is just like how it is. Like, they have everything set up perfectly so that certain games, even during certain seasons, because they have all the statistics and stats of when people buy games and when they spend the most money, when people are in the mood for what different genres. This is seen in the movie industry as well. You well know that in January you don't see anything except for like trash horror movies because nobody spends money after Christmas. There's like a lot of like data that supports all this stuff. So them saying that it could have been on the game and they could have like waited longer to release it is a bullshit argument. They don't have any control over the release schedule. That is completely up to their parent company who funds the game, and without the parent company there wouldn't be a game in the first place, because our $60 per game doesn't do enough at all to pay for the development of the game. These games cost millions and millions and millions of dollars to make, and Soul Calibur itself, Soul Calibur 6 has sold like 2 million copies. So you do 2 million times $60 and we got like what, like $120 million? That pays for what? So first of all, we have to pay for the marketing, which is half of what the game costs to make. So if the game costs $80 million to make, then it's going to cost $80 million for marketing. So that's, first of all and foremost, what people don't understand. Second of all is the parent company gets 90% of that. The rest goes to the development team and gets split amongst them, and that usually is seed money for their next project. There's not much profit in it at all. Games haven't changed price since like the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo. Games were $50 and $60 back then. The one thing that hasn't been affected by inflation is video game prices, and I see a lot of people complaining, and yeah, I don't want games to be $70 on next gen. I've seen EA try to push that stuff, and it's something we should fight against. But movie tickets when I was that age, when movie tickets were like $3 or $4, comic books were like 75 cents to $1 when I was that age, and video games were still $50. Now, video games are $60, so $10 more, but movies are $20 and comics are like $6 a pop. So, like, inflation affects everything equally. Like, a house that you bought in the 80s might have been like $100,000. That house now is worth $700,000. And the money hasn't been that much cost effective because we haven't had any increases in pay scales or pay rates since the 80s. So there's a lot of things that are involved in these things, and you got to be really careful when you levy accusations like anti-consumerism against a corporation that is trying to provide a service or a game. The second note I wanted to touch on, it's a little less preachy, is I don't think you guys are stupid. I'm not one of these YouTubers that's going to sit out here and not include my community and talk down to you guys like you're a bunch of idiots. Like, I know that you're smart enough to make your own decisions, and if you're here, it's because you chose to buy the game, so you want the information that you want to hear about certain things, and most of the topics that I cover are requests that I get from my subscribers and people that are part of this channel, and that's why we have the Discord up, and that's why I read every single comment. If anything, I'm pro-consumer because I want you guys to be armored with the most knowledge you can have. If you want somebody that's going to be just levy negative threats against the game and talk trash constantly, then you can go find another channel, because there's plenty of YouTube channels that are all about like just clickbaiting you and making you hate a certain game for arbitrary reasons. That's fine. But if you love Soul Calibur and you want it to succeed and you want to just know more information, then obviously that's where we come in. I don't blame anybody for not wanting to buy a game. If you don't want to buy the next Soul Calibur, I'm not going to hate you for it. You can come back, watch my channels, and if you change your mind, you do. If you don't, you don't. Like, we all have our own choices to make, and like, our money is ours to spend. I'm not going to say that you should even buy the DLC. I've rated all of the DLC packs and said which ones I think had good value and which ones I didn't. I mean, 2 videos ago, I just did a video about where the hell is all the DLC content in 2.25. It's not like I am just raining positivity down on Project Soul constantly all the time. And to say that is just ignorant and somebody who doesn't watch my channel. And if you ask any of the subscribers that I've had on this channel for a long time, they will tell you that they're part of the channel. I don't just talk down to people. I'm probably one of the only YouTubers that will incorporate my subscribers into my actual channel as much as I do. That's why we have the weekly community videos. We have the contests where I talk about you guys. I credit everyone. Like, I talk to you personally. I answer every single comment. We talk in the Discord. I never call you guys fans. I never clickbait you. I never beg you for subscriptions or Patreon or any of that crap. I always said from the beginning that I wanted to grow this channel organically with you guys, not in spite of you guys. And even though it's been over 3 years and we're not even at 1,000 yet, I appreciate every single subscriber that I have, because you're a part of the channel. So anyway, with that being said, guys, I can drone on forever about this topic. I just wanted to address that, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, first of all, do you see my channel as being a part of a problem for being anti-consumer? Please be honest, because if there's something that I need to learn and change about something, then I would wholeheartedly love to take that information on and consider it. Not only that, but I want to know what you guys think about Soul Calibur as a whole and Project Soul. Like, do you see them as another greedy corporation that's exactly the same as somebody like EA, or somebody that's just out for your wallet constantly, like a mobile game company? Or do you see them as something more of a niche fighting game that you love? Any and all thoughts are always welcome in the comment section down below, guys. Out of the over 3.5 years I've had this channel, I think I've blocked like 4 people, and I've deleted like maybe 10 comments. So that's not something I do. I always try to engage, especially if I get into an argument. We try to see things through. That's how it is. We're going to bring this video to an end now because of that. So with that being said, any and all thoughts in the comment section down below are always welcome. You guys are the channel, and as always, thank you.
And thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Have you always wanted some sweet Mark Yoon merch? Maybe a thick U shirt, maybe a shirt from Squirt, maybe my pretty face with my logo all over your body, or a throw pillow, or blanket, or anything? Well, you're in luck, because I just launched my merch store, and it is going to be available on Redbubble, and you will find a link to it in my description box down below. It's got a lot of quality content, and a lot of good stuff for you to pick up, so you can show your support for the channel, and just rep Mark Yoon.